Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Breaker and I am back with a replay that I took from Cast It, submitted by Winter, playing as our Zerg on Star Station Tournament Edition, spawning, of course, once again, as our Zerg in the purple trunks, lower right hand corner of the map of Star Station. His name is Winter. Now in case you guys don't know anything about Winter, he is such a, I don't know how else to say it, he really is such a community badass. He is a trooper. He plays random, and he has masters for all three races, but enough about that. In the upper left-hand corner, spawning as our pink Protoss. Real men wear pink. It's looking for your girlfriend, or excuse me, it's loving your girlfriend StuN. Wow, looking for your girlfriend. I'm sorry, guys. That was a huge misstep by me. Okay, so the steps that I'm taking to actually broadcast this replay are a bit different from what I usually do, because of course I don't have that super bomb-bad internet connection that I used to have. So you guys are probably watching me on twitch.tv right now and wondering, what the hey, bro? But for the time being, I'm just going to take this replay, I'm going to cast it, and then I'm going to submit it to YouTube, and it helps to turn the music back on. Winter just checking for proxies, making sure nothing silly is going to happen to him. Not sure if that would give us any indication to the playstyle of StuN or not. But Winter, I would definitely say, is... I want to say, out of all the competitors I want to see go far in WCS NA as random, I think he would definitely be one of those candidates. I mean, he wouldn't be the first one who's Masters League random to go far in a tournament. There is, of course, that one player from New Zealand, I believe it was Acelia. And it was a she at that. There's also another player that I remember I was casting a lot. I forget his name, but he was Masters League for each race on the Taiwan and Korea server. And he played random. He was not a caster, although I do know one caster that is Masters Random League. Or excuse me, Masters Random League. Wow, Masters Random Player. His name is Little Pervert, is what it translates back to in English, but of course in Chinese they call him Xiao Se. But of course I don't expect you guys to speak Chinese, so let's just keep this in English. The guy who played random at a master's level for each race, he actually made it pretty far in the Asia StarCraft League. He actually made money off of the tournament, although he did not make it to the highest position, that is to say first prize. No, that seat went to WCS top, or excuse me, Zoo top. The guy who's always in WCS NA Premier League, but never makes it far enough to get to the actual offline event. He always comes breathtakingly close to it, but always kind of disappoints in the end. Anywho, both players scouting each other out. StuN's going in here, sees that there is no double gas in the main, so that basically indicates that we're going to see Winter taking a third in the near future. The only question is, how near is that future? And StuN is already taking that probe to put it in place and maybe throw down a pylon for the block. Make no mistake about this, this was a forge first into a gateway. And let's see where the chrono boost is going. I'd say for the time being it's going to go to probes, but I have been wrong before. We'll figure that out in just a minute. Ling's already out to chase away that probe from StuN. Winter playing very standard Zerg. And it looks like chrono boost number 1 after the Nexus at the natural is finished goes to the Nexus at the natural, just playing that ordinary macro style. No units rushing across the map just yet. Both of the Lings have taken care of that probe. Yes, it didn't slide by them. Winter staying on top of his game. StuN has finished with his cybernetics core, so the question is, what's the tech up? It is Stargate as the answer. And no, we're not going to see Kurt Russell come out of it, but there was something that just got started and I missed it. I so want to hit the B button and check what it was on the replay, but nah. Spoiler free, guys, spoiler free. Who knows, maybe you guys are watching the VOD and you're thinking, oh, well, it was a Zealot or something. And Winter... Hello. He was actually tripping up his opponent just a little bit. He has not gone for a third yet. He's actually gone for double gas at his natural before throwing down the third. In fact, I don't think he's going for a third. I'm sorry, I'm alt-tabbed right now trying to find TeamSpeak and exit out of it. Disconnected. Very considerate member of the same team as me on TeamSpeak actually did not interrupt whatsoever. He simply exited. I apologize for that. That's actually the same reason that I exited out of Facebook before I did any of this, but now it looks like it's going to be a very steady Phoenix opener coming from StuN. No Oracle, no preliminary Oracle coming out just yet. No third still to this point. Typically what this can lead to, if you play Zerg, is a kind of Swarm Host style play, or excuse me, Swarm Host oriented play, but seeing as we have Winter not going for lair tech just yet, in fact, just amassing so much gas, I don't know what to make of it. It's hard to say what he's doing. I don't know what he's got planned with this. But at 7 minutes 40 seconds, he finally opts to get that third down. It would probably be wise of him to go ahead and throw down a third Spore Crawler and then get it ready to get parked over here. But I like that. I kind of like this kind of precautious play that we have coming from him. And right now, he's going for +1 melee and Carapace, sort of indicating that his late game is going to be Ultras, Banelings. Well, maybe Banelings. Who knows? Winter, I imagine, as a random player, he's a very creative random player. And I think that's the advantage that many random players have. They think and they battlecraft so much. They keep their opponents guessing them. And it looks like StuN has made a slight mistake, but finally corrected it. He's gotten 3 of his warp gates up and online. He's also got a delayed robo coming with that, so I'm a bit curious as to what he's going to be doing. Not entirely sure, to be quite honest, but this is quite the standard, excuse me, follow-up from a Protoss player that has gone with a Phoenix opener. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever, and I like this move by Winter. Really, I mean, once you stop and think about it, it's not cost-effective to pick up Lings using Phoenixes and try and get kills on them, but this little engagement right here, it's not going to be too effective for Winter. It forces a few minerals out of StuN, but really, other than that, not much else. So where did those Phoenixes go? Jeez, it's like they disappeared. I'm sorry, they're right over here on the minimap if I can simply open my eyes. And a Spire going down despite the fact that we have a Phoenix opener. Bit of a curious decision from Winter, but it looks like he might be able to get some... Ah, there we go, Vision. He sees the Robo. He sees the Robo. So that's going to help him out a lot. He's splitting up the Lings as he goes into the main and the natural with them, getting quite a few probe kills, and I don't think a 1 queen kill is going to pan out and make things even. Look at all the probes, they're gone. Whoa, in the main, they are all just wrecked, save for 2 of them. 23 worker kills by Winter, starting off particularly strong in this game. And behind that, he's going for his 4th base, but at the same time, StuN is still up significantly in supply, and once you subtract 23 from this number in the kind of mid-top left there, guess what? The remaining difference is army supply. But at the same time, Winter has quite a measurable army supply itself, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I'm sorry, I was reading that wrong. That's worker supply. So right now, army supply is actually 51 to 18. I'm sorry, I've been casting so long and I still haven't quite distinguished those 2 numbers yet. Crazy. Alright, so now we have StuN moving out, trying to get the Vengeance, and right now, behind this, 8 Corruptors are on the way to deal with the Phoenixes, a Baneling Nest, and an Infestation Pit. Because, of course, Winter knows that his opponent has mostly Zealots out on the map. He's also got a few Sentries, and the Force Fields on these Sentries are going to have to be used so clutch. So very, very clutch, because if they aren't, then the connections just aren't going to pan out, and the Phoenixes are now encountering the Corruptors, and nothing here shoots up save for 1 Void Ray and a handful of Phoenixes. Prismatic Alignment activated, but that Void Ray, there's simply too many Corruptors for it to handle. The Phoenixes here will continue to just go null if they are continuing to fight these Corruptors head-on, and they just pull back immediately. Zealots and the Sentries coming in for the Vengeance. They took down the 3rd. The question is, are they going to get the workers that went with it? We'll have to wait and see, but I think, yes, beautiful Force Field on the natural. That's actually going to keep Winter from getting any ground units close to his opponent's main army, but there are 5 Banelings morphing at the natural, and as long as he can make sick connections with those, he can at least take care of most, if not all, of those Zealots. Workers falling right now. The Banelings are ready, and it looks like that was not quite enough to get rid of the Zealot threat that is at the natural. Look at this. Look at this. This is sick. It really is. Oh, but... Oh my god, it looked like One was so close to dying, and it looks like he's about to regen all of his health. There we go. The Lings came in and cleaned that up. But there's also a fourth base that got established behind this, so looks for the time being, Winter will have some economy back online. He didn't lose all of his drones, but he lost a good chunk of them, 24 altogether. So an eye for an eye from Winter, the random player, morphing in as a Zerg at the loading screen. 2 Zealots. 1 Zealot remaining, and that looks like it'll be all of the forward pressure coming from our Zerg for the time, excuse me, that'll be all the forward pressure that Winter has to worry about in the near future. Okay, so StuN comes out ahead in this particular scenario. The main could be saturated a teeny bit more, and I don't think he knows about that, but it's not too big of an issue. But beyond all of that, Winter just sacrificing everything at the natural and going straight for Hive Tech and getting the ultra-fast Ultralisk Den going down. I was going to say at the beginning that this looked like a bit of a Leanox-style Ling, Baneling, Infestor, and or Queen Ultra timing. And it kind of hits just a little bit late because of all that pressure, all the damage that Winter took economically. But at the same time, I think he's going to be just fine. Look at this. The Phoenix is trying to come in and pick up whatever they can. That's kind of cheeky. And StuN's doing what he can to stay alive in this game. Behind that, the robotics bay went down, and we do have Colossi on the way, but with the Ultras morphing in the background, I don't think Colossi are what's going to cut it. This is going to be a tall order, and StuN is going to have a lot of trouble holding this attack if he doesn't get something out. If he doesn't get psionic tanks and immortals out in the near future, he's in a lot of trouble. Blink Stalkers, they're kind of so-so versus Ultras, but at the same time, they can blink away, they can get in front of units that can tank for them, but the question is, what on earth does our Protoss have that can allow him to create those tanks besides the Dark Shrine? Yes, we do have DTs warping in right now, but where on earth are they? Ah, here they are. And once they become aware of the Ultras, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a good deal of resources committing to making DTs into Archons. At this stage, it would be most effective to use DTs to make Archons as opposed to High Templar. High Templar would still be very effective to throw down storms on the Lings and, of course, any units that fly. The DTs arrive at the 3rd. It looks like they're going to get the snipe on that. And meanwhile, all the drones are evacuated. Or so it would seem. Wait, Winter's trying to reposition a Spore Crawler, and it looks like it'll be there just in time to get the save on this, or will it? I don't know. The Lings, the Ultras, oh, so close. Had it have been 5 or 10 seconds sooner, I think Winter would be in a much, much better position, but unfortunately for the time being, he is not. Alright, so now Ultras, Lings retaliating, but wait, what on earth? What on earth does StuN have to hold here? Stalkers. Just lots and lots of Stalkers. The Adrenal Glands, I think, that upgrade... What? It's not in the mix? Well, what a pity. But at the same time, StuN's buying for more time, and he's doing a good job of that, too. Look at this. He pulled back his... He managed to force his opponent to pull back his main army. That much worked out. And right now, in the background, we see him researching charge, excuse me. +3 attack is going down as well. And finally, we see Immortals entering the mix. Only a handful of them at a time, but I mean... in the end, it all makes a difference. 4th base gets canceled for our Protoss. Blink Stalker's aggressively blinking. I'm not sure if that was a good idea or not, but there's still a lot of force fields remaining on those sentries, which are basically null once the Ultras hit the forefront. But with a bunch of Lings in front of the Ultras, it can be quite difficult for them to get to the front lines. Meanwhile, the 3rd does get rebuilt, and the 5th base goes down for Winter. Charge, 5 seconds away from finishing up. In fact, being chronoed. Ground armor level 2 on the way for our Protoss. +1 air attacks about to finish up for our Zerg. So many Zealots running right by that 5th base. They're like, yeah, okay. We like to kill 3rd bases first, but this is going to be an equitable trade. Meanwhile, the 4th is going to fall yet again for StuN. It looks like, no, that wasn't canceled, but the pylons there will be, excuse me, the cannons rather. And the Zealots coming down to the 3rd base look like they're going to have a bit of trouble. They got distracted by the Spine Crawlers and then initiate their focus to the 3rd. Meanwhile, drones getting pulled from the 3rd, getting put on the 5th 3 o'clock base. And it looks like the Zealots, unfortunately, never get their mission accomplished at the 3rd base. They do get, however, a good deal of good deal of worker kills, and as well as delayed mining time. Oh no, it looks like Winter kind of missing it here. Oh no, he doesn't see, or does he? He must be distracted with something else. In fact, yes, it's the DTs in his main. Look at this. I'm sorry, that was a mistake. But the Broodlings took down that DT, but this DT is still alive. Wow, this is turning out to be quite the interesting game. You really don't see Broodlings getting kills unless they're from Broodlords all that often, but both the Evolution Chambers finished. Kind of a null factor in this game, in my opinion. The Warp Prism will be shut down, but what about the Zealots on the ground? They too will soon be dispatched of as some rallying lings come back and deal with it effectively. Corruptors finish off the Warp Prism. Okay, so now what does StuN do? I mean, he's got sentries in the mix, no doubt, but those are effectively, once again, null versus Ultras. Lots of drones coming in the background, but I think Winter has kind of lost track of his idle drones right here. He's got detection everywhere, spore crawlers, but I myself prefer, like, since the Wings of Liberty days, just to use lots of spines and some overseers. Unless, of course, I know my opponent is going Sky Toss. If for whatever reason the game makes it to that far along, it would be a good idea. Now, both players are pretty much maxed, except for Winter. Of course, he's down by about 50 supply. The question is, what is he waiting for? What is he trying to do before remaxing? DT is going down at the 6 o'clock position base. Looks like they get away with a throbbing 54 worker kills to this stage in the game, of course. You have to remember that 24 of those were killed with that initial onslaught from the Zealots and the sentries. Now, Winter, he's floating a lot of supply and a lot of money. I don't see what he's researching. I don't see what he's waiting for. And it's completely beyond me at this stage. What on earth are you thinking, Winter? I'm not to be a harsh critic, but 133 supply to 199, I'm sure you're not blind. But lots of spine crawlers going down behind this. Yes, lots and lots of static. He says, okay, my opponent likes to harass me, and if he likes to do that, well, I'll make my base unharassable. Corruptors and Ultras coming in here together. They're not going to get a favorable engagement here. In fact, the Colossi are actually having a field day on them, as well as the Void Rays. The Corruptors, again, a null factor in this fight. And Winter remaxes on 32 mutas. I do question this decision. And I'm sure anyone who plays Zerg at this stage would. But at the same time, I'm sure Winter is one of those players who can make it work. Now, the 6 o'clock position base is in a good deal of heat right now, and it looks like these Zealots are not going to fall for, or stop for anything less than that 6 o'clock base falling, as well as all the drones on it. Yes, 50 pieces and not a coin less, say they. And all the drones are gone. But it looks like the mutas are able to save it. Oh, but at the same time, Warp Prism came by and did another massive drop. So extra points to StuN for that. And Winter makes 4 mutas before that Spire falls. The question is, what is he gonna do? I mean, he's got Hive Tech. What is he waiting to do? Is this kind of trolly? He also does have another Spire at his natural, but at the same time, it looks like he wants revenge. So he's going for his opponent's 9 o'clock base, and it will fall. Blink or no blink from these Stalkers. Void Rays and Stalkers coming in together. Lots of tank, lots of damage. These are +3 Stalkers, +2 armor, +1 shields. And the Hive in the main falls, and that is quite the dirty cake for Winter. I mean, now he could theoretically just directly tech up to Lair and then go straight into Hive from there, but this is a lot of damage being done right now. He's also lost well, he's kind of losing. He's getting poked at here and there and everywhere else in between. You have to remember the workers at the 6 o'clock base are gone. The mutas, however, still have free reigning liberty over the main. In fact, just a couple of Phoenixes coming in here. The natural has fallen. It's nearly mined out, much like the main now. And the Phoenixes are trying to do what they can, but, I mean, there's so much here. The question is, if we can see StuN hold, it will be at what cost? Sorry, couldn't help it. Feeding. Lower left base is going to get sniped by these lings. There's nothing here, again, to contest it. Aggressive blink to the 3rd to protect, and it looks like that was a misclick on the pylon, perhaps. Oh no, 9 o'clock base looks like it's in some trouble, but there are 3 Archons here to defend. Beautiful coordination by StuN. Now the Muta's kind of exposed here. Yes. Oh, but he's going for a straight-up engagement. I wasn't expecting that. Yes, there's no AoE in this army, so it kind of makes a little bit of sense. And in fact, he targets the Colossi with good reason. AoE on the ground. And now I'm thinking what we're going to see from our Protoss StuN is going to be High Templar with Storm, if not Archons, which he does morph those into immediately. But look at this, a huge Ling run by. But there's 3 Archons here. Will it be alright? I think so. Looks like the Lings are being pulled apart, and now a huge engagement at the natural yet again. Muta's trying to pick off whatever they can, and this is no longer a question of banks. This is now a question of economy, and make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. Winter is ahead for the time being, but his opponent, I want to say, has the ability to crank out more army supply. And in fact, he does have more army supply. Look, in the main, the Dark Shrine is about to get sniped, but that's not what he's making Archons with. He's actually using High Templar to do it. Excuse me. The question is, does StuN still have that powerful Jenga stick, if you will? Oh, look. Another sweep at the 9 o'clock position base, and there's not so much here. In fact, the Mutas are just saying, screw it, we're going to try and get us around on that Archon. In fact, they do, but now there's so fewer Mutas than there were before. Alright. Oh, but the Colossi... Wait, what are the Colossi doing here for StuN? Okay. I like this move. This is creative, but at the same time, the Mutas are going to be here to slap that out of proportion and out of the game in just a few seconds. 28 Mutas. I reckon they can one-shot. No, they didn't quite go there in enough order to one-shot, but now they're completely out of the game, and... Oh, looks like this 6 o'clock position base might be as well. Both players staying completely on end in the pressure. But it looks like StuN, I want to say, is the one who's falling more and more apart with each and every engagement. Look at this. Again, the 9 o'clock position base with nothing to defend, and he's losing a lot of probes. 180 workers killed to this stage in the game. That's if you total up both sides' kills. And now immediately the Mutas are trying to find new targets to attack. This might be an okay engagement point until the Archons get to the front lines. The Void Rays can be sniped one at a time, and the Mutas are falling one at a time too. Make no mistake about that. And I think this is where StuN says, hey man, I had enough. I have to kill you, otherwise you're going to kill me. And that is not erroneous thinking. He doesn't have enough money for another Nexus. And look, Zerg force fields coming in the shape of changelings. In fact, this forces StuN to click them down one at a time. Look at this. I wonder what the APM flashed to there for a minute. It's over 200 for both players over the entire stage of the game. The Mutas are forcing a base race scenario out of our pink Zerg, excuse me, our pink Protoss rather. And he's now moving across the map. But I think this could be a bad idea, simply given the fact that Winter has so many more bases. He's got, of course, sustained income. And he can just simply build hatches wherever he chooses. But at the same time, StuN has so much in this army that Winter is afraid to directly engage. If he can somehow take enough of his opponent's bases out to force that direct engagement, he might be okay. But at the same time, when both Nexus fall, our pink Protoss will begin to be revealed. And there's no other pylon. There's no forward pylon anywhere on the map. And there's only enough resources, I think, to build an assimilator, and that's it. But are there any probes? There's 2. They're both at the extremes. They're not in any position to place assimilators. And it looks like, I think, Winter has put that as his main focus. Yes, the last probe is now out of the game, so there's no way we can see StuN rebuild anything. He's got a single Zealot working away at structures in the main. This Baneling nest barely on creep, so it's not bleeding to death. One more hatchery remains for Winter, but at the same time, I'm sure he's feeling confident enough to directly engage his opponent sooner or later. StuN has not rebuilt their base and is being revealed. Look at this. There's a few Lings working away at the last few structures in the main. And even if he chose to directly engage, I don't think this would be good for him. Neither player has any income. Drones will be stuck distance mining. And now the remainder of our Protoss army, wow, he's actually using drones to take down this assimilator. But that won't be enough. It looks like... I don't want to say that was a bad place to engage, but it's a bad structure to try and choose to defend, and so might this be, but there's a cluster of 3 of them. Alright, so now checking the income, it's 40, 20. Okay, there's 2 drones. 3 drones. It looks as though that extractor had just gone dry. Our Zerg will always have the ability to produce. That goes without question. But I think now it's come down to the bitter question of army supply and what counters what. Look at this. So many mutas in the mix right now. And this is a lot more than 28. This is 36 mutas, guys. Changeling's now being swatted by our Protoss, and he may just be forced to stay here for eternity. Who knows? But Hallucinated Phoenix will reveal everything that our Zerg has. Let's see how many workers were killed. Wow. That is 229. And now the mutas... Oh no! They're gonna catch these Immortals out of position! Well, it's alright, I guess, because they don't contribute anything in terms of ground-to-air DPS. And I think their mission was actually to go out and find just what our Zerg has remaining in the game. Of course, Winter now is not being revealed. But I'm sure what we have from StuN is him simply trying to figure out what his opponent has remaining. And I think it could all wear down to this one last, again, somewhat bitter engagement. Winter just skirting around his opponent, getting what he can for free. I think he may actually be trying to go for it now. Mutas, I believe, have the same attack range as Archons. So if all of those mutas are all clustered up, that's not good! The Stalkers are actually cut out in the open. If he loses Stalkers one at a time while his opponent loses no Mutalisks at the same time, StuN is just in a bad position like so! He's baiting out the engagement! He lost 1 Stalker, and I think his opponent lost 0 Mutas. Yep, still at 36 like before. Okay, but we also had drones that were long distance mining, and they're making another base. But look, hallucinated phoenixes. But Winter says, hey, I'm not Idra. You can't do this to me. Yeah. He says, I know you're being revealed. You're just trolling me, bro. You don't have a Stargate. But StuN, he's going to try and force that engagement as best he can, and Winter's going to have all the freedom in the world to engage as he chooses, but the mutas, I think, are really, really super spread out. Where are the Archons in all of this? I don't know. It's so difficult. There's still 2 of them remaining. They're doing so much damage, but the question is it going to be enough at the end of the day? One of them is still very much so alive. Both of them, in fact, still very much so alive. And look, Winter says, lol. Like, that is so broken. That is so imba. And now StuN is throwing out lol again. +2 armor, +3 attack, +1 shields, and there we have Winter saying muta bad, muta bad. But look at this, look at this, uh-oh. It looks like both players trying to get the base trade in. He's trying to make his opponent think, well, there's nothing I can do now, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. 2 Archons and 3 Stalkers now going for this. I think it would have been wise to perhaps send both of the Archons out while keeping the Stalkers at home. Or maybe proportioning it a little bit more. Sentries, I believe, have slightly higher DPS than Stalkers, but now Overlord's coming into the mix, I guess, to probably try and tank for the mutas. But, the drones! The drones, he's got to throw down force fields that are oh so epic, and this is actually going to confuse the DPS of the units on the ground if they get a full-blown surround. Even if they are just drones, he's going to have to actually manually target down each and every single muta. The force field's going down already. Looks like the sentries will fall one by one, but the Void Ray, what is being targeted down first? I can't tell. Spreads are beautiful, and now there are no units remaining to protect that Stargate. He says GG, and StuN simply leaves the game before the Stargate falls, or excuse me, before the Warp Gate falls, rather. He knew it was over, and that was an amazing game. I want to say that was kind of up there with close games, but I think the closest one that ever beat that was when I saw a drone beat a hatchery out of 40 health down to nothing. A bunch of roaches. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Breaker StarCraft 2. I run the Twitch channel ESL Taiwan. I'm going to be going to an offline event this summer. I'm hoping you guys will want to support me. Please check out all of my social media below. That would be twitter.com/BreakerST2, facebook.com/BreakerST2, and finally, weibo.com/BreakerST2. This has been a wonderful cast today. Thank you for watching.